Alright folks, welcome to Chapter 2, Customer Service Skills for User Support Agents. You might think this chapter is all common sense and I don't need that. Once you get into it, I don't need this stuff, blah, blah, blah. I can tell you this is probably the most important chapter in the book. Anybody can teach somebody how to fix computers. So any business out there that has a help desk can bring in anybody and show that person the technical skills needed to fix a computer, to diagnose their software. Most places even have flip books where when the customer calls and says, hey, I have this problem, you just look up the problem in your flip book and then you open it up and then it tells you, try this, try this, try this, and it answers everything. So it's the soft skills that we don't focus on enough. And I can tell you, just last year we had what they call and my mind's drawing a blank here, but we have a name for it, where we invite big businesses from outside the university to come in and talk about our program and what changes that we need. And the number one thing that they say is we need a class to focus on the soft skills. They say our students graduate, they're very technical, but they suck dealing with people. So I don't necessarily know if that's our job to teach you, but you get the idea. All right, so moving on. So obviously there's objectives, and you can take a look at those, and they're in the slides. But excellent communication and interpersonal skills are more often challenging for new support workers. Again, you're going to get hired, you're going to go to a help desk. Let's say you go work for Timken, and you're going to get calls from the lowest ranking person in the organization to the highest ranking person in the organization. You're going to get calls from people of different ethnical backgrounds, people with different technical skill, and you're going to have to deal with all of them and make them all happy. That's your job, Mr. Happy, making everybody else happy. So the book tells you you need to adopt a customer service ethic. And a customer service ethic is an organizational-wide commitment shared by everyone to focus on client relationships and client satisfaction and make them the most important aspects of the business. So their goal is a 100% client satisfaction 100% of the time. Now, is that realistic? Probably not, but that's the goal that you're shooting for. Remember, we want to set our goals high. Now, I don't know if that's too high because your goal should still be obtainable. So find out where your customer service ranking currently is, the satisfaction. Let's say it's 82%. Well then, for the next 6 months, let's shoot for 85%. And then let's keep raising the bar until we hit 100%. Now, as we're going through this chapter, imagine you work for Diebold. Diebold is a worldwide organization. One of their primary products is ATM machines for banks. So you're at the help desk for the ATM machines. So if your bank is calling for support and your support sucks and you're mean to these people, are they going to want to buy your ATM software, or are they going to want to buy one of your competitor software? Do people at banks tend to drift from different banks to other banks? Well, yeah. It's just banking is kind of, I don't want to say it's like McDonald's, but you get turnover. A bank teller that works at this bank will eventually move to another bank, and they'll share that information. Oh, hey, we're looking for new ATM machine software. Oh, don't get it from Diebold. They suck. Well, we called for support. They could never fix anything. So satisfied customers are more likely to be repeat customers. And remember, at the help desk, your job obviously is to help increase sales. If sales go down, obviously the company needs to downsize, and your job as the lowest end of the help desk will probably be in jeopardy. So it's in your benefit to do well. And once you tick somebody off, they're harder to deal with. It takes longer to handle. Dissatisfied customers, they generate complaints, ill will towards the organization, all just product returns that cost the company money, refund requests, all that other stuff. It's a lot easier working with a happy person than it is a dissatisfied person. All right, so it's a commitment. You never want to apologize to somebody. If you apologize right away, you're accepting blame. You're saying, yes, I am the problem and I'm sorry. You never want to do that. You want to be the solution guy. You also want to make sure that you return their calls or emails. If you tell somebody, hey, I'll call you back by 4 today, then call them back by 4. If you don't know what the problem is, the last thing you want to tell them is, I don't know what the problem is. You want to tell them it could be 3 or 4 different things. I'm going to need to look at a little bit more to isolate the problem, to narrow that down. Now, does that sound more helpful than, I have no idea what the problem is? Shoot, I need to go get my corncob pipe and figure it out. You get the idea. All right, so the book recommends the 3 essential communication skills. Listen and read carefully. When a customer or when a help desk ticket comes to you for a repair or something like that, don't just read the first line and then automatically assume you know the problem. Read the entire ticket. I can't tell you how many times I've submitted, requests and different things. And put in, hey, I've already tried this, this, and this, and had the guy call me back and say, oh, you need to try this. Well, dude, if you'd read the ticket, you see I already did that 2 or 3 times. You need to build an understanding, and you need to respond effectively. You can't use things like, I don't know, or I've never seen that before, or that kind of stuff. It scares the customer. They think, oh, who am I dealing with here? All right. So your book also talks about different listening types. There's a descriptive type of listening where you're trying to learn about the user and their habits. There's comprehensive. You're trying to understand their message. A lot of people will tell you one thing, and it totally means something else. We would get users that would call and say, hey, I'm here in the finance department. No, but we all can't access the internet. And then, we send somebody down there, and the one guy goes down there, and the first thing that happens, he checks everybody, and everybody can get on the internet. It's just that one person that called that can't get on the internet. But in her mind, the entire department couldn't get on the internet. And it's because she wasn't opening up her browser right or something weird like that. So, and then there's critical listening, where you're trying to analyze for clues. What is the user trying to say? What's their actual problem? Therapeutic, you're going to get people that come in and they are ticked off. And they're going to focus that on you. I used to work at a help desk for a visiting nurse service. And we had like 80 nurses, and they all had laptops, and they would go to home users, and they would do their nursing stuff there, and then they would chart and stuff on the laptops, and they would load it up through the internet and submit it to the company. And when they had a bad day, and they went to 2 or 3 patients' house, and it was miserable and nasty, and they couldn't get their laptop to work, they would come in fuming because they had all this reporting to do, and they couldn't do it. So be appreciative, try to find enjoyment in the job, try to make them happy, and try to develop rapport. Calling people by their names, remembering things about them. Hey, so-and-so came in and was telling me that she was sick, and then she comes in 2 weeks later, hey, glad you're feeling better, stuff like that. All right, make sure you listen carefully. A lot of IT guys, as the user starts to explain the problem, they automatically assume something, and then they cut the user off and they try to solve this issue that's in their heads. But had they just let the user finish, they would have found out, no, that was not the case. So always listen to the user, let them describe the entire problem before you interrupt them. All right, and then you need to use language focused on the customer. If the customer has no idea what a NAS box is, or what a VPN stands for, or how it works, there's no need to use those big fancy words. You can use things like, hey, well, it looks like where you're connecting to the network to store your stuff is not working, or it looks like your connection through the internet to us isn't working. Sometimes you have to dumb it down. All right, listen carefully to how the user describes the problem. Is there stress in their voice? Are they using technical terms? That'll all help you. And one of the worst things is, when you're a very technical person and somebody starts babying you and showing you for 5 minutes how to cut and paste, you get annoyed pretty fast. So you need to look for all that stuff in their communication, which is tough. So, effective listening tips. Obviously, avoid distractions. When you get to a call and you're focused on a customer, turn your cell phone off, put it on vibrate. Try not to focus on the hot girl sitting right beside her and that kind of stuff. Let the user talk. Give the user plenty of time. Hey, show me what you're doing. Can you show me the error that you're getting? What exactly is your problem? Let them talk without interrupting them. Once they're done, summarize what they said. Okay, so you turned your computer on and you're trying to get to the internet, but when you double-click Internet Explorer, the internet's not coming up. Is that correct? So you're paraphrasing those to make sure that you have the problem down. And then if they're not giving you enough information, probe for details, ask questions, and check out their body language. Make sure you're not focusing on your issues and your concerns. Make sure you're not avoiding eye contact. When you're talking to somebody, at that point, you need to focus on that person. Let them know that you're listening very well. All right, get the user's perspective, be positive and encouraging, speak clearly and concisely, match the user's proficiency level. Don't use technical terms if they don't speak in technical terms. Speak clearly and concisely. There's no need to sit there and, I saw this problem before back in 1982. My grandpa was sitting on the farm, and he, get the idea. So don't get into these big, long things. Just focus on the problem. Remember, you're not really there to socialize. Now, there's going to be some people that are very sociable, things like that, and sometimes you got to kind of curb that, and you got to focus on solve the problem first, then you can work on your socialization. All right, so empathy. Empathy is just an understanding of, an identification with a user situation. And this is a good example. When the user calls, you don't want to be like, and I hate to say this, but Time Warner Cable does this all the time. I'm sorry about your problem, blah, blah. You never want to say I'm sorry. Again, you're admitting guilt. You're already admitting, hey, I'm the problem. You don't want to be the problem. You want to be the solution. So when somebody calls, it sounds like you've had a very frustrating morning, but I think I can help you with this. Now you're the solution. You're the guy I want to talk to. You're the guy who's going to help me. And now I'm going to get more positive when I talk to you. But if you're like, I'm sorry about that, we suck. You're going to be like, I hate you, that kind of stuff. So focus on that. All right. So try to build understanding. Try to express the problem in your own words. When the user talks, blah, blah, sometimes they get real long-winded and they talk about stuff. Once they're done, try to just paraphrase in your own words. All right, so you're having a problem with Internet Explorer. What's the home page you're trying to get to? Communicate to a client that you view him or her as a person and not just an incident report. And sometimes it's harder on the phone. Remember, when we talk on the phone, most of our communication happens non-verbally. They say 90%. I don't know if it's high, but things like eye contact, posture, tone of voice, all that stuff comes into play. But when you're on the phone and we're through email, all that goes out the window. Now all I can hear is the voice, or all I can read is the words. So a lot of the other communication techniques are lost. So when you're talking to them and you're talking about the problem, use words like we, hey, we'll fix this together, and that kind of stuff. And smile. All right, recognize the importance of a sincere greeting. Now they tell you, hey, this is Joel, customer support. Thank you very much for calling. How can I help you? That's kind of long. Most companies typically have their own saying that they give you. They'll say, this is what you say when you answer the phone. If they don't give you something, then you want to use something like, hi, this is Joe in customer support. How can I help you? You can add, thank you very much for calling, and that kind of stuff. But really, are you thanking them for calling you? I mean, they got a problem. They're going to call you. So why are you thanking them? You're thanking them because they have a problem? But sometimes people get weird about weird stuff like that. I don't know. So don't sound mechanical or rehearse. If you just pick up the phone and you're kind of going through the motions, they're going to feel that, and then they're going to respond with anger towards that. All right, use scripts. Most companies that are especially nationwide or national companies will have scripting for their problems. When the person calls, say this. When they ask about this problem, ask about this, this, and this. So you get these flip books that kind of walk through the stuff. So make sure you obviously use those, obviously if that's company policy. All right, use tone and style effectively. So in these two examples, the help desk agent provided me with adequate information, but I felt through the whole time or through the whole conversation that I was intruding on his time. And then the example 2, the help desk agent couldn't tell me what I needed to know, but explained why the information wasn't available yet. The last thing you should tell the customer, the last question you should ask them, ma'am, sir, are you satisfied with the service you received? Because that's your goal. You need to make sure that each person is satisfied. If you can't satisfy a lonely finance person who just works in Excel all day, then how are you going to satisfy other people when you try to become a manager? Or when you try to move into some other position? All right, and we talked about nonverbal behaviors. Remember, all the stuff that when we're in front of somebody, posture, facial expression, eye contact, gestures, distance, voice quality, all of those come into play. And sometimes some help desks actually have people come in. And when they do, you're going to have to focus on those. What's the user kind of projecting to me, and then what am I projecting towards the user? All right, so develop an effective personal communication style. Use clear, succinct speech. Talk slowly, but not too. You don't want to sound condescending. Hey, I understand. You get the idea. Use short sentences. Avoid empty phrases. Why do you want to thank somebody for calling? I mean, really? And just try to communicate positively. So remember, with telephone conversation, all those visual cues are out the window. So we have to focus on that. So your telephone clients will evaluate your business by maybe the menu system that they had to get through, the length of time, the number of people they had to deal with, and maybe their greeting. All of that sets the tone so that when you finally start talking about their problem, where are they at? Are they mad? Are they happy? If my wife calls Time Warner Cable and gets transferred to 5 different people, and by that time she's already been on the phone 5 or 6 minutes, and then the person calls and they give her an empty greeting, she's pissed. And it's not the person who answered the phone's fault other than the empty greeting, and they're not taking their job seriously, but you get the idea. All right, so telephone dialogue skills, you want to greet the caller. If you're going to put the call on hold, you need to ask their permission. Don't just put the call on hold. So during my help desk time, I had a guy, and he would always sit there and talk to somebody, put him on hold, then he'd talk to somebody in front of him, then and he kind of back and forth and never asked him, and people would get mad at him all the time, tons of complaints. You always want to, oh, hey, hold on, can I put you on hold for just a minute, and you're good. If you're going to transfer a call, never, ever, ever do what they call a blind transfer. People hate that, and when they find out that you did it, they're going to be mad at you. So here's what a blind transfer is. So-and-so calls me. Oh, that's a network issue. Hold on, I'm going to transfer you to the network guy. And I transfer it, and then I hang up. What you want to do, that's called a blind transfer, because you're transferring the person to the networking guy. The networking guy picks up the phone. They're like, oh, so John transferred me to you. He said you would help me. And then they're like, duh, because now they're like under the bus. They're like, oh, well, what's your problem? What's going on? You want to, hold on, let me put you on hold while I transfer you. And then you want to transfer the call, but you want to talk to the other guy. Hey, Terry, the network guy. Hey, I got a user on the phone and she's having a problem with this. Can I transfer her to you? He may be eating his sandwich in his office, all that stuff. And then he's going to say yes, and then you transfer the call. That will help you, especially like with your superiors. That helps you so much. People hate blind transfers. All right, and if you're going to terminate a call, make sure hey, I think I got your problem solved. Are you okay? Are you satisfied with the support you received today? Yes, I am. Okay, ma'am. You have a great day. Hang up. And that's a perfect way to end a call. All right, if there's an incident, if anything occurs while you're out there, you need to document that, because I can't tell you how many times things come to bite you in the butt later. You go and you're talking to a person, and you're focusing on their keyboard, and then she says, are you looking at my breasts? And you're like totally surprised because you're like shocked, and you're like, no, ma'am, I'm looking at your keyboard because of all the the cheese dust in there. And then nothing happens after that. But later on, she files a report on you for sexual harassment or something like that. So anytime something like a user makes an weird comment like that or something like that, make sure you report that right away to your supervisor. Hey, so-and-so, hey, when I was just dealing with Mary, I was staring at her keyboard for a minute because she had a bunch of Cheeto dust in there, and I was kind of like shocked to see that. And then she was sitting at her desk, and she like asked me if I was staring at her boobs, and I swear I was not. That will help you tremendously. And because then when that user reports and HR calls the manager to talk about it, the manager's, oh, hey, so-and-so talked to me. He was staring at the keyboard. And a lot of times that stuff goes away just because you talk to somebody in advance. So if you lose something, you lose a tool. If you notice something like a door that's normally locked that's not locked, anything like that, make sure that you pay attention to that and report that stuff. So the goals of incident management, obviously, are to provide a user with information when he or she calls. So now we're talking about their incident. So we want to report information. So a user calls, hey, I got a problem with my PC, blah, blah, blah. So if I can't fix it, or maybe if I do fix it, depending on what the company's policy is, I want to put that in the system. I want to manage the stress levels for both of us. If they call me and they're pissed off, I want to try to diffuse that situation. Hey, I'm going to help you. I'm going to take care of that for you, and make them feel better. And sometimes, obviously, sometimes that's not enough. You got to keep kind of hitting them with that stuff. Maybe every once in a while, crack a joke while you're doing that. You want to make sure or ensure that the incident progresses from start to finish in an effective way. Keep it light, kind of focus on the problem. If you're not good at social jokes and making people laugh, okay, fart jokes aren't really that good with high-level management or female employees, so stay away from that stuff. All right, so resources, there's any place where you go to typically has organizational policies on how you handle different things. Your organization might have training programs. Find what has always really kind of worked for me is picking out the one person that does things the best in the department and trying to emulate their behavior. If there's a really good guy and he handles people very well, if you've ever watched Ink Master, there was a guy named Josh, and he was the biggest D-bag ever, but he could handle people. So if I was an ink person, I would try to pick that skill up from him, not the D-bag or the douchiness, but that skill, the handling people. So that's what you want to do. You want to model your behavior off of the big guy so that you can become the next big guy. You want to develop your own personal communication experience and style, and you want to focus on your strengths. But remember, nobody's perfect. There's always areas for improvement. I was lucky enough, the first place I worked at had a policy where for HelpDesk, every week we had a log, and we would write down the 2 or 3 customers that we felt we didn't handle effectively, or that were still mad or something like that. And then every Monday we would get together and we would meet and we would discuss the people from the previous week and what we thought we could do better so that we could improve. Again, there's never a perfect support person. There's always room for improvement. So some guidelines, ask goal-directed diagnostic questions. Be honest. Now this thing here, say I don't know when you don't know. Don't ever say that. It's never I don't know. It's, well, it could be 3 or 4 things. I don't want to tell you what it is, or I don't want to make a guess, without more information, or let me get some more information so I can narrow that down. Apologize. Why? The only time you apologize is when you do something wrong. If you're late for an incident, you should apologize. When they break their computer, why would you apologize? You didn't break it. So make sure you stay away from that stuff. Remember, as soon as you apologize, you are accepting responsibility for their problem. You are saying, I'm the problem and I'm sorry. Don't do it. All right. Always say please and thank you. Oh, can I please have your chair and sit down at your keyboard? Stuff like that. Use incident management, not user management techniques. You want to focus on the incident. Your idea is to fix the computer, to get them back and be a productive resource for the company. And you want to teach the user self-reliance. And this is something that a lot of help desks don't do very well. You should have some kind of help desk reporting system. And somebody should be monitoring that each week and each month and tracking the tickets. If I have a bunch of tickets for Microsoft Outlook where people need help with scheduling calendars or scheduling meeting rooms or things like that, then that's probably that's probably a key that tells me I need to, have a Microsoft Outlook class for the users. You want the users to be able to help themselves. So whether it's providing training or self-help stuff like FAQs, you might have an online FAQ where people can go to, hey, how do I schedule this meeting? Oh, let me go to the FAQ. How to schedule a meeting. Click this, click this, click this. Oh, great, I'm all done. They never had to bug you at the help desk. You can never really put yourself out of business at a help desk. There's always things that are going to break. There's always users that are, I don't want to say stupid, that's what I mean, but you get the idea. So you're never going to put yourself out of business. But what you want to do is you want to be as effective as possible. If you can say, hey, a lot of help desks, I'm sorry, let me refocus that. A lot of help desk people focus on the number of tickets. I closed 60 tickets this week. What you want to do is my work is so good and our stuff is so effective that we have eliminated tickets from 150 this week to only 120 this week, or a month, or something like that. You want to reduce the amount of tickets coming into the help desk, because that's your job. But a lot of help desk staff and management think that closing the most amount of tickets is what they're supposed to do. That's not an effective help desk. That's I'm a response help desk. I fix it after there's an issue. You want to be a proactive help desk and fix them so they don't have issues, so they're more productive, spend more time doing their job, and produce more for the company, thereby making the company more profitable. If you take that attitude, you'll excel. And it's surprising when you kind of show that paradigm. I can tell you, when I was the help desk manager, when I first became manager, we were always tracking the number of tickets. And my thing was, hey, self-help, let's have training, let's identify this stuff, let's track information so that we can focus on what we need to do. And after a while, the number of tickets started to be reduced. So when I was in a meeting with all the vice presidents, and they're like, well, your help desk, you used to have this many tickets average, and now you're way down here and you're averaging this many. Maybe you need to get rid of a help desk person. And I said, no, you're looking at it wrong. What you need to look at it is, we're providing so much support, so many better systems, so much better stuff to help the user to be more productive, that they're not calling as much. But that doesn't mean we need to eliminate help desk staff. It just means we're being very effective in helping company productivity. If you take one of my staff away, we won't be as productive, and the company won't be as productive. So you get the idea. And that went over very well, by the way. All right. So personality types. I don't really buy into this stuff a whole lot, because most of the time it tells you you're a frickin' genius and that kind of thing. But there's a Bayer-Riggs type indicator. It's a personality analysis tool to tell you where you fit. And where do you direct your energy? Are you an introvert or an extrovert? How do you process information? Do you sense or are you intuitive? How do you make decisions? Do you think, use your brain, or do you use your heart? How do you organize your life? Are you juggling things, or are you perceiving? Or how do you perceive things? So that'll show you, it'll give you the 4 letters that kind of tell you like where you're at. And there are 16 possible personality types. There's like the ISTJ, that's an introvert, sensing, thinking, judging, that kind of stuff. So each person is a mixture of the 4 types. And then they say no personality type is correct or best. Well, if none are the best and none are the worst, then why am I even taking this? I have no idea. So I'm pretty sure that's one of your objectives today, or this week, to do in the folder. So remember, take that with a grain of salt. It's kind of neat to read some of that, because some of that will hit home, and some of the weaknesses that they show you for your personality type might be true. So make sure you look at that. All right, difficult clients. You will occasionally run into difficult clients. We had a guy, and he was a nurse, and he used to blame the help desk for all of his issues. Like, he would go out and he would see 3 patients, and he would not chart on his laptop. And then the next day, when his charting wasn't in, because he went home early to go screw around with his girlfriend or something, he would, oh, I called the help desk and they couldn't help me. He would call the help desk sometimes from his cell phone while he was driving, and tell us, he wasn't driving, although we could hear driving noises in the background. And we would try to walk him through something, and he didn't even have his laptop on. He was just going through the motions because he was driving on his way home, but he needed to make the call to cover himself. So later on, when he came in, we just checked the logs, and you can see when they turn their computer on and off in the logs, and we could see that his computer was not on during that time. So you just need to focus on the problem, not on the person. When people like that try to get by you or try to blame stuff on you, don't take it personally. It's always professional. And trust me, sooner or later that all comes back to him. After he got caught doing, getting caught doing different stuff, he was on probation, and he came in to pick up his laptop one time because he actually had screwed it up. And he had actually cracked the screen on his laptop because he sat on it, or he had some excuse about somebody sitting on it, and he did not have to pay for it, which he was very thankful, because it was $3,000. But he was told that the next time something like that happened, no matter what the excuse was, he was going to have to pay for it. So when he came to pick it up, he sat his bag on the desk, the help desk guy's desk, and he grabs his laptop, and he goes to throw it in his bag, and he missed his bag and dropped it right on the floor and broke it. And you could just see his face, and everybody at the help desk is just thinking, karma, buddy. But you get the idea. All right, so characteristics of difficult clients, people that complain. Remember, there are people in their job that are not effective in their job, and they look for excuses, to cover for that, lack of ability. So they'll complain, well, the computer's not fast enough. The computer's always breaking down. Help desk can't help me. There are power users who want more rights and responsibilities and more power on their computer than they're allowed, and then they get mad. All right, and then some users have or give you inaccurate information. Oh, the whole department's down. Nobody can get email, and it's just this one person because they logged on improperly or something like that. Then there's users who get upset and angry. There's users who are abusive. Remember, these people have lives just like you. They go out, they're going through divorces, their kids are sick, somebody lost a job in their family and they're hurting for money, they're filing for bankruptcy. All this stuff comes into play when they come in. So when they come in and they're mad, don't take it personally. They're not really mad at you. They're mad at their life. They're mad at the choices they made. It seems like they're mad at you and they're taking it out on you, but really deep inside they know that it wasn't you. All right, users who complain, make sure you give them ample opportunity. Don't ever cut somebody off mid-sentence. Use empathy. Oh, I feel for you. I've had this kind of stuff happen to me. Don't take it personally. Remember, complaints can be a valuable source of feedback. If you look at your complaints each week and everybody's complaining about the same thing every time, you need to focus on that and fix that. All right, power users. Anybody that knows stuff about computers likes to be recognized that they're knowledgeable about computers. And what we used to do for these power users is we would try to identify at least one power user in each department. And then we would try to work with them. Hey, show me what you know. Oh, let me show you a couple things. And then when let's say somebody in finance would have a problem, we would ask them, hey, talk to the power user first. These power users love being the focus of attention. When somebody has a problem, they love being the knowledgeable person who can help. And a lot of times that'll help remove your tickets as well. All right, incidents that get off track. Sometimes users start asking you, hey, are you married? What are you doing tonight? And they start doing stuff like that. Just refocus on the incident. Sometimes you have to totally ignore their comments and just focus on the incident. Apologize for the lack. Like if something's taking a long time, make sure once you hit 10, 15, 20 minutes, you need to say something to them. Hey, I'm sorry this is taking so long. Blah blah blah, and whatever the situation requires. All right, users who are upset and angry like to vent. Try to reassure them. Don't get defensive. Don't sound patronizing. Just work with them the best you can. By now, hopefully, most of you guys have dealt with angry people at other jobs or somewhere. You should kind of have an idea. If not, there are a couple of really good books out there. Dale Carnegie has a book out called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is the #1 book recommended by salespeople for probably the last 30 years, something like that. It's crazy good. But it tells you how to handle people and how to talk to them in different situations, to diffuse issues, to make them more approachable, to help them lose that anger thing. All right, sometimes you find abusive people. They're rude, they use inappropriate language, they use personal attacks, they may attack your religion, they may attack your ethnicity, stuff like that. Now, besides what the book says, when stuff like that happens, you probably need to report it. Especially if somebody attacks, your something personal about you, your religion, your ethnicity, that kind of stuff, your gender. If somebody makes, sexual comments, all that stuff needs to be reported. But if it's just, they're being rude, maybe they said one bad word or something like that, you want to try to diffuse the situation. Just focus on the problem. And try to take care of their thing. I've had users in the past who were just terrible. Nobody wanted to be around them. Everybody shuddered when they called, that kind of stuff. And I was always able over time to work with them and to get them not to be happy, to not be angry, so that they actually enjoyed calling the help desk and they weren't so much that way. Some users are going to be reluctant to respond. If they are, obviously they're shy, or maybe they don't know anything about the computer. Maybe they're new to the company and they're afraid about losing their job already. Just use simple language. Avoid the technical speak. Try different kinds of questions. Make sure you give them positive feedback so they feel better about themselves. You know, building trust with reluctant people or with people that are perpetually angry with life takes time. So when a user stops responding, when they stop to talk, when they're not answering questions anymore, when they're not that ticked off, you know, that indicates the contact is over, okay? At that point, you just need to summarize, hey, you called about, you know, the internet not working. I came out, I looked at your stuff. Everything seems fine. You're really mad about this, so I'm going to go get my manager. Something like that. All right, nowadays, most places have a company intranet site. You know, the first generation Web 1, we had client-friendly sites that they were typically one-way communication directed towards users. It was cost-effective, and not just our intranet sites, but our external sites. You know, like all the sites we went to, like Yahoo, that kind of stuff. Those were all first-generation sites. So Web 2.0 sites are interactive sites. Now we're talking about MySpace, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all that kind of stuff. We have user forums, we have blog posts, we have FAQs, we have knowledge bases. So all that stuff is available for you to create at your help desk in order for you to better service clients. Remember, your goal at help desk is to make the organization run more effectively and produce more by having less problems. So these people that monitor their help desk activity by the number of tickets they solve, it's totally wrong. It's totally wrong paradigm. But anyway. So support websites obviously can provide product information, can take sales orders to free somebody up to do something else, can facilitate access to technical support staff. Like how many times have you had issues with a product that you bought, like for a PC, and then you went to the site and just downloaded the driver? So they have a lot of different uses. If you're creating your own, some things to keep in mind when you're evaluating it is the content. Is it accurate? Is it up to date? Is it organized? Is it well organized? Does it avoid information overload? Is there too much stuff there? Are there a lot of graphics that make the site load too slow? What's the format? The mechanics? Does it have proper spelling and grammar? You would be surprised how many IT guys have never spent any time learning to write correctly. And they misspell everything, they don't spell check, their grammar is horrible, and you will see some bad websites out there. Alright, and then comprehensive client service. You want to provide excellent client service, and it's based on values, attitudes, and actions. If you go to work every day and your primary job is I'm going to help a bunch of users, I'm going to make the company more productive, I'm going to do whatever it takes, you know, to make this happen, you will do very well. Companies like Disney and so forth actually have this philosophy and have been pushing it out for years, where they only hire based on attitude. It's if somebody's attitude sucks and they're not motivated and they're not interested in being better in their life, they're going to be a sucky employee no matter what they do. If somebody has a positive attitude and they're focused on the customer and they want to be better, they want to better themselves, they will always be the best employees. So that's what they're looking for. All right, so that kind of wraps up this chapter. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you're emailing us or post it on the forums. Let me know. All right, other than that, my office hours are in the syllabus. So if you need any help or you have a problem, make sure you stop by. Other than that, have a great week.